Hello everybody and welcome to the fifth round of the season 16 now of 2S ACC. Today it is me, myself and I in the commentary booth, and I apologize for not having streamed the last couple of rounds due to the scheduling. I was unavailable. But I'm back with just 10 drivers on the grid today. And unfortunately Aiden Bailey is also not able to join in the booth, so it'll be another solo commentary here today in Barcelona. So a few things have happened since the last stream that we've had, which was, I believe, at Alton Park. I may be wrong. I would have to double check that real quick. However, we have had this man here, Ben Lowe's, who won in Zolder. And before that, sorry, actually it was Misano last time around. Alton Park was the first one. So yeah, Misano was round 2. So yeah, Ben Lowe's won at Zolder, and afterwards we had another winner in I'm gonna be honest with you, it don't matter. What matters is we're here today, round 5, and the championship is hotting up. I will quickly pull up the current championship standings. Maybe quickly bear with while these guys are running in their quali laps. Ben Lowe's is about to set his first lap time, and it's going to be, I think, a decent lap time. If it's not invalid. It's not invalid. So they're at P4, so a 1:43.7 from Nico Velben, followed closely by Sam Chumley with a 1:43.9. And these two drivers already setting out the pace as the front runners, which has been the story throughout the whole season, actually. I'm just going to quickly pull up the championship standings. One second. Here we go. Alright. If you want to see the championship standings for yourself, you can find it on the sim grid. If you search 2S Community, we will be there, and it is currently the season 16. We're also hosting our very first endurance event, which will be held in 2 weeks' time. 4 hours of Bathurst, and that is part of the initiative from the SRO esports organization, where they have a community world challenge, and this community world challenge is all about bringing communities an opportunity to send off representatives of their community to compete in a grand esport final with prizes in the final. We are also giving away CDA. Sorry, not CDA. We're giving away Delta coupons as well in this 4 hours esports event. Currently, 18 teams are registered. We're looking at the more teams, the merrier. If you want a chance to compete under 2S name in the grand final SRO esports challenge, feel free to sign up for that in 2 weeks' time. Before that, we talk about today, and currently, as I was saying, the standings. Is Sam Chumley in P1, followed very closely by Nico Velden in P2, and then Mikael Albert in P3, which coincidentally is how it's lined up today, with the top 3 at the moment on track in the qualifying. So that's very interesting. So yeah, last time around it was Sam Chumley who came out in front and won that race, and before that was Ben Lowe's who won the race. So now that we're up to speed, the championship is very close between Sam Chumley and Nico Velden, with Mikael Albert being around 25 points behind Nico Velden, but Velden is only 6 points behind Sam Chumley, so it's all to play for between these two drivers when it comes to nearing the end of the championship, and they're continuing their strong pace up in front. 8 minutes remaining of quali at the moment, and it seems like we will only have 10 drivers in it today. One person I want to quickly mention on stream. We have returning Kennedy Shikeka. I believe it's been almost a year, if not more, since he has last touched the racetrack with 2S, and it is such a delight to see him back on track. Big Boat Racing, I believe that was his team name, running with the Bentley back in Season 2, Season 3 of 2S, so he goes way back in this community, and it seems like he's finally decided to join 2S yet again and come back out onto track. So I'm very excited to see where he is going to be placing himself. It was I remember him being a front runner for back when we had the silver class, and I think once he dusts off the cobwebs and gets back into the shape of things, he could be definitely a fun driver to watch on track today and throughout the rest of the season. Well, rest of the season. There is one more round after this, and that is at the Nordschleife, which will be the first time 2S takes on the Nordschleife, which will be very interesting. We've had a few drivers here competing in the 24 hours of Nordschleife on iRacing, and we've had a few other drivers compete in other major endurance esport events. I know not always in iRacing, also some in ACC on the Nordschleife, but so I think experience-wise will be very varied, and I think Nordschleife is one of those tracks where a 10-second gap between drivers is not the most uncommon thing to see per lap time, but that is also because it's such a long lap. I think it'll be a more diverse lap time board, so to say, with a couple seconds in between, as opposed to in 1 or 2 tenths, as we see at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. Currently, everyone is not running very valid laps, apart from Ruben van den Hooding in the Mante Racing livery Porsche. He is currently in P4, looking to improve his lap time. He's not currently on a positive delta, but he's not far off his current pace, and he still has half a lap yet to go, so he could potentially be one of the drivers to improve. I believe everyone else is on their out lap or have invalidated ahead of him as the only other person. Oh, and just as I say that, he runs off the track and invalidates the lap himself. Samuel Mendes coming down the start-finish strip. He will definitely improve his lap time, but where is it going to place him? It's going to place him up into P6 within a second of the leader, so that's a good improvement from the ProTech Racing driver. ProTech have been a good showing for this season in 2S, with Samuel Mendes currently driving on screen, and we also have Michael Albert in another ProTech McLaren Racing, and I'm not sure if Maxime Bispali is also a ProTech. No, he is not. He is a Marlboro Racing McLaren with a livery it seems to not have loaded. So I do apologize for any liveries that have not loaded in. Another driver we've not seen before, at least not on stream, is Craig Quincy, and he's racing for Quincy AV Sport with a beautiful, it looks like Valentino Rossi inspired livery, running the BMW M4, which is also the car Valentino Rossi runs in real life. So that's a nice stash of color on the track. It will be interesting to see where he places the car, where he finds himself on the grid, considering it's the first time I've seen him. Now, currently, it is only himself and Kennedy Chikeka on a valid lap, and Quincy is about to come to the start-finish straight, and he's going to cross the line, improve his lap time, but still 3 seconds behind the leaders. So he's got a bit of improvement to catch up, but I think, as we've seen before, consistency is better than pace in these longer races, and I think depending on how good he is consistency-wise, he could definitely enjoy himself out there today. Kennedy Chikeka also running a positive delta at the moment, going through turn 7 in that golden black and white BMW. It seems to be a bit of a mix between 3 BMWs, 3 McLarens, 2 Porsches and 2 Ferraris today. These are quite often the cars you see driving more than not. I think they're very there's not really any meta cars, so to say, the meta car is the one you are most comfortable driving, but I think a lot of people enjoy these cars, specifically the McLaren, the BMW and the Ferrari. I know they've all seemed to be sort of fan favorites when it comes to endurance races and sprint races alike. A bit of a jump, skip and hop through the last chicane there from Kennedy Chikeka, but he still crosses the line, it still makes an improvement, although I think he's got quite a bit more of where that came from to improve on. Ben Lowe's, the winner out at Zolder, seems to be struggling a little bit, but I say that, and his delta is on a massive positive. He is 8 tenths up on his current best time, which could possibly put him up into the running of that P4 position. We'll see, or right on board with him actually coming into the final chicane. Obviously, this is still the old track layout. The new track layout has gotten rid of the chicane, however, we do not have that accessible to us in ACC as Ben navigates the last few corners. A little bit of a jump over the curb there, runs it out nice and wide, keeps the momentum going, has a great exit, doesn't really lose too much time compared to his delta. It's going to be a flying lap. Is it going to be in the top 3? No, it's not. It's going to be P5, and that is 3 tenths behind the leader. That is Sam Chumley currently. So a good lap time there from Ben Lowe's. I would say the top 6 separated by just under 5/10. So it's a good, strong start considering we have 10 drivers on the grid today. Still invalid lap times around the board. I wonder if its track limits is going to be something a bit of trickiness today from all these drivers. I'm not sure if it will be. I think these guys have driven on Barcelona often enough to know the track limits, but it definitely seems like at least mistakes are being made more often than not, extending the track. But I don't remember myself from driving on Barcelona it being a huge issue. So we'll see what happens throughout the race. Obviously it's a 45 minutes race with a mandatory pit stop. I don't believe it's mandatory to refuel. I think it's a mandatory tire change. So I mean, the drivers will load up their race fuel and then change the tires, or if it's refueling. If it's enabled, they'll just run half fuel, and I can't remember exactly. I'll try and find the details for you. But Nico Velma coming across the start-finish line. Is he going to jump Sam Chumley? No, he's not. He does make an improvement, though, to be under a 10th behind Sam Chumley. But Sam Chumley is still safe, and Nico Veldman has this lap to go to improve on. Sam Chumley in the pit lane, he will not be able to improve. Michael Albert out on track, but everyone running invalid lap times, apart and from Ben Lowes, is doing a really slow lap as well. So it seems like at the moment people are struggling to set down the lap times needed. So pit stop rules: mandatory refuel is not mandatory to refuel, and it is mandatory to change tires, and I believe the refueling is unlocked, so you can refuel. So these drivers will be running around 40-ish liters, maybe 50 liters per stint, I guess you can call it. As Nico Velman is still trying to improve a run on board and see what he is able to do. It's the final sector. He is positive on his delta. Keep in mind, he only needs 6 100s to get past Sam Chumley and take that pole position away. And he currently has a delta for 6 100s. He's actually gone a little bit deep there into that corner. That's going to cost him some time on the exit, but it's still positive overall. Got a few more corners left. Got a long right-hander here. I found this always a very tricky corner to navigate. Then you have the right-hander coming in, jumping close to the curb, running out wide to the yellow curb, and back into the left-hander. Goes a little bit deep, and that's going to compromise his exit in the final run. And there you go, it's a compromised exit, and he does spin off on the yellow bit into the wall, and that is not a pole position for Nico Veldman. However, Ben Lowes is coming through into the third sector now, and he's also on a positive delta. Could it be enough to maybe pip a few people in the current standings, or even potentially take pole position? He is well, running equal lap times to his last one, but remember last time he had a poor exit. Could this exit be better? It looks like it has been better. It is going to be improvements for Ben Lowes, but is it enough to jump him up a position, or even more, enough to take pole position away from Sam Chumley? And it is not enough to take pole position, but it's enough to throw him all the way up to P3. That was a good final lap there from Ben Lowes. And then finally, Ruben van den Hudding is now on his own charge. Also 1/10 up on his current best lap time, which would put him into that P3 spot Ben Lowes has just taken, if he is able to manage and maintain this lap time throughout the lap. Ruben van den Hudding coming through the final chicanes now. Let's see how he's able to navigate through as we go on board. He's actually 2/10 up in his current best, and looks like he's about to go 3/10 up in his current best time. Could this even be pole position for Ruben van den Hudding? Gets a little bit of a poor exit. That's going to cost us some time, but it still says he is 3/10 up on his delta. When he crosses the line, he might be able to take pole position, and he crosses the line and just about misses out on pole position, and even more so, goes right behind Nico Veldman. So that is Sam Chumley taking pole position, Nico Veldman in P2, followed by Ruben van den Hudding, Ben Lowes, Michael Albert, Lucas van Dam, Samuel Mendes, Kennedy Keka, Craig Quincy, and Maxime Bisbalier. Wow, so quite intense qualifying session there at the end. I did not expect it to be that close between the top 3 runners, but that was all within 1/10 for the top 3, so that bodes well for a good race, I would believe. And I look forward to seeing what these drivers will be providing for us entertainment-wise. So, a 45-minute race coming up. And it's in sunny Barcelona. It looks like there's no rain. Track temperature is 24 degrees. It's 19 overall. So a nice spring Spanish day down in Catalonia, uh, or also known as the Circuit de Barcelona, or Barcelona. I can't speak. I'm not Spanish. I apologize. Anyways, so quite an interesting track. I believe it's one of the older tracks, or one of the more famous tracks that's been used for the F1 series, and I think everyone is very familiar with it, with it being a test track for F1 for many years before that moved to Bahrain. And I think a lot of drivers have a little sort of a love-hate relationship with it. I believe, I know that from my own personal experience, from the other guys on the grid as well, they enjoy driving it, but they find the racing to be tricky. And the last chicane sort of makes it even harder to get into a nice rhythm and flow. But that does make for some fun racing usually, and mistakes in the corner exit usually can allow for people to get overtakes done down the main straight. So we'll head towards the starting grid now, as we'll inspect all the drivers and their cars. As we see a massive, huge red flag being waved here, followed by a blue flag above. I wonder if this is new for the fans. I've never seen people wave flags before in the grandstands. That's a nice touch. Or maybe I've just missed it, but I think that's something new with the new updates for the Nürburgring. Gives a bit more atmosphere into the game. Anyways, Sam Chumley on pole position in that Ferrari, followed by Nico Wellman in the Porsche, followed by Ruben van der Hooding, then Ben Loos and Michael Albert, Lucas van Dam, Samuel Mendes, Kennedy Chiquika, Craig Quincy, and Bis Bali are running out the top 10. This car is about to go for the formation lap to get ready to heat up the tires, and a small grid today, but that doesn't mean the racing won't be good. So we're about to go for the formation lap, and that is Sam Chumley taking off down the main straight. So you can see the nice Catalonian mountains there in the background. So I'm getting people saying there's bugs on the stream. Feels like a YouTube issue. I've been watching currently on my phone the whole time, and it has been loading a bit trickily sometimes, but I believe everything on my side, especially through my OBS, it's all saying good connection, good frame rates, good upload speeds, good everything, CPU usage, no frame rates being dropped and everything. So I do apologize if there's any stuttering. I have noticed it being a bit of an issue on my phone, but it looks like it's somewhat fixed itself now, so it could be a YouTube server thing. I do apologize, but if you're always interested, you can watch the race back afterwards, as all of it will be recorded once the live stream is done. Let's hope this issue does not continue, but we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, there's nothing I can do from my side. I am running only the game and only my necessary software, like I always do. So unless it's a connection issue from my side, then I can't really make anything of it. And that is Kennedy Chiquika going off the grass. I wonder what's going on with him. If that is intentional or what. As we ride with the cars through turn 7. On the rear wing of Sam, rear split of Sam. Oh, you can see Sam Chumley in the cockpit at the moment. And here we go, the cars lining up behind him with that Emily Frey Racing Ferrari leading the pack. You see Nico Wellman, he usually always designs his own liveries, and they're always the same sort of style. He's got the red, he's got the grey, or the silver, and the black with the massive 2S logo slapped on the front of his Porsche. It's a nice livery, and then we also have Ben Loos in the background as well. Every single livery he makes is in-house made, usually inspired by some sort of company. I remember we had a season where he ran a black livery with a lime green accents, and since then we've seen a black livery car with lime green accents running around in the town, in the city we live in. we keep saying it's the Ben Lowe's car. It's a Ford KA, and it's been quite funny to see. And every time we see it, we take a picture and send it to each other. It's a bit of a running joke of Ben Lowe's car. But anyways, Ben Lowe's car is currently in P4. He's got a lot to do to come up to that P1 in Zolder, but in front of him, he's got the two championship contenders and Ruben van den Hudding with Michael Albert behind, with being the third championship contender. Sam Chumley looks to have a good gap in front of him for this race start, as we're about to go green and see what happens in this race as it unfolds. And the cars have gone off now, full speed ahead, down into the start-finish straight. There's not really much drama at the moment. People just slotting in behind each other. Slipstream Ruben van den Hudding trying to split the two title contenders. Looks like Nico Veltman got a better run on the outside. Going to try and cut in front. Ruben van den Hudding goes behind. A little bit of contact between Nico Veltman into Sam Chumley, which puts Ruben van den Hudding back. And there is Michael Albert trying to get involved as well, as they go 3 wide into turn 3. And that doesn't always bode well. And there is Lucas van Dam moving up a position as well. Ben Lewis losing a couple of positions with the bumping on the start, with Nico Veltman taking P1 from Sam Chumley. A bit of contact between the drivers. I wonder if the stewards will have any look at it, but apart from that, everything went through turn 1 smoothly. And that is Lucas van Dam up the inside of Michael Albert, and he has to go out a bit. That is the Samuel Mendes in the background getting quite sideways on corner exit. And Kennedy Chikeka now making a move on Mendes to try and go around the outside of turn 5. Good start from all the drivers, all made it through safely without any major incidents. So already a bit of a double pack splitting up, with the top 6 being from Nico Veltman all the way down to Ben Lowe's, and then Sam Mendes, who's just been overtaken by Kennedy Chikeka from P7 down to P10. But these drivers are running very closely at the start. And there's Craig Quincy in the background. You see the Valentino Rossi livered car, just keeping on the heels of the pack in front. Let's jump back up to Ruben van den Hudding making an overtake on Lucas van Dam, trying to make his way back up. It was Van Dam made to try and do a bit of a cutback in the middle of the chicane, bit of an unorthodox place to make an overtake. But that is going to allow van den Hudding to stay ahead, and it has cost Van Dam more time than it has gained him. Ben Lowe's as well looking to potentially make a move on Van Dam by the end of this start-finish straight, but I think it's just a little bit too far behind to make anything of it. Has a look, but decides to pull back in and take the racing line anyways. Let's go back onto lap 1 and have a look at the replays, as I don't believe... Oh, actually, never mind. Let's stick on board with Sam Chumley and Nico Veltman for now, as this is not the greatest camera. Here we go, as Sam Chumley tries to go around the outside of Nico Veltman into turn 4, and that is covered up nicely by Nico going into turn 5 here, down into the downhill section, as we have a little bit of a kink going into, I believe it's turn, actually I can't remember if this counts as a turn 7 or... I've got lost already. It's alright, guys. I believe this is turn 7 actually, and we go into the next corner, which is a dab on the brakes and then flat out. Quite a tricky corner to navigate. I've often spun there myself when I used to race, and it seems these two drivers are just keeping each other honest at the moment, with Nico Veltman not falling away, but Sam Chumley also not getting close enough to make any major moves there. And looks like in the meantime Ben Lowe's has gotten his way past Lucas van Dam, so he's back up to P5 and will now try and put his charge down onto Ruben van den Hudding. Let's have a quick look. There is a bit of a contact between the two drivers. So there is Lucas van Dam defending from Ben Lowe's. Ben Lowe's ahead coming into, I believe that's turn 7, a little bit of contact, and through he goes. No much drama there. Sam Chumley chasing down the Porsche in front of him, followed closely by Michael Albert behind, and Sam Chumley might actually be close enough to maybe think of making a move. Doesn't pull out or anything, doesn't even try to rattle him. Almost gets collected by Michael Albert in the background there, and Albert going a little bit loose on the corner exit and costing a little bit of time, with Sam Chumley maintaining his position. Not any contact between these 4 drivers, but the top 4 running very closely together. So let's have a look at the race start and see what exactly happened between Nico Veltman and Sam Chumley. So this is the race start. Nico Veltman has the outside cuts, sort of to the inside, no contact. A little bit of contact. They sort of dive into each other's lines. Sam Chumley gets thrown off position a little bit, but maintains his position, whereas Nico Veltman was sort of ahead at the point of contact. So I think it should be fine. A bit of a racing incident, But overall, I believe the stewards will be able to manage this one anyways in the next coming days to make sure all the racing is fair, and will give out any necessary penalties or penalty points needed. But I believe, from my own quick review and opinion, I think that is more of a racing incident, and it will stay the way it is. Nico Wellman leading the pack, seems to be a little bit squirrely under the braking, and Sam Chumley at the moment seems to be the more confident driver of these two drivers, but behind is very closely followed by Michael Albert and Ruben van der Hudding. So Sam Chumley has to be careful of making any overtakes, because there are two people ready to pounce right behind it. Likewise for Michael Albert, as these two drivers are sort of stuck in between a Porsche sandwich at the moment. And let's see how they navigate their way through this. Is onto the start-finish straight. Nico Wellman goes yet again for the third lap of the race. Sam Chumley, let's go on board with him, see what happens if he's able to gain any speed on the driver ahead. It's not that much slipstream effect, so not really able to capitalize on that Porsche. Finally, they fixed it with the new Porsche, that it's has decent speed down the straights. It used to be a huge weakness of the older Porsches, that down the straights you just get eaten up by anything and everything, since you would be down on top speed. However, come corner, you would be able to take them back because of the way the Porsche handles, which I think is a bit of a unique driving experience. I quite enjoyed it the last few times I drove it. However, I can understand why people prefer the more traditional approach of having a mid-engined rear-wheel drive car compared to a rear-engined rear-wheel drive car. And even also the front-engined cars are a bit more stable, a bit more predictable compared to the rear-engined Porsche, which, to be fair, I think loses. I think it has more grip with more fuel, as you have more weight on the front of the car, and that, of course, as you lose your fuel out of the fuel tank, which is located in front of the car, you lose some weight on the front as well, which sort of acts as a bit as pushing the tires into the ground. So you have to play a bit more around with the brakes to get the car to turn in the way you want when you're on lower fuel loads. However, it does make it for a very lively driving experience, and a very unique one as well, and very capable in the right hands. And oftentimes you see the Porsches, if it's the right driver driving it, they are unstoppable. And currently, Nico Wellman is doing a phenomenal job keeping that Porsche ahead of the Ferrari behind. But see, a little bit of a poor corner exit there from Nico Wellman, and that could potentially allow Sam Chumley to get an overtake in as well. Head over and see if anyone is able to make a move. Nico Wellman is starting to go a bit defensive, so that's showing that. So he's a bit nervous of Sam Chumley behind, who is going to be the last of the late breakers. Nico Wellman is ahead nicely coming into the corner. Is going to compromise his exit a little bit. Sam Chumley might be able to get a bit of an undercut maneuver going, but no, not this time around, and he'll have to wait to apply more pressure onto Nico Wellman. A little bit wide there from Sam Chumley, and I think that is an invalid lap time, so that is a track limit warning already for Sam Chumley. We've only been 7 minutes into the race, so that is early to be getting those track limits warnings, but I think at this point of the time you'll take them, but as soon as you get 2 or 3, then you'll start becoming a bit more careful. I remember once in a 24-hour race, we were only allowed to have 4 track limits if it's a 10-minute race or a 24-hour race. And I remember one of my teammates, he was he went wide, I think, on lap 2 of the race, and it's one of those moments where you can decide to keep it pinned, take a track warning, or slow it down and then just get a track limit warning, or slow down and just get a time deletion and have no warnings that stack up. And he said 5 minutes into the 24-hour race, he said, we'll take those track limits. And then we only had 3 for the rest, 3 more warnings to have for the whole rest of the whole race. So you can decide to take them when you want. It's always better to not, but I think in sprint races it's a bit more affordable, because you can sort of predict, your own driving style, you know how often you go off track, and if it's not often, you can sort of push the limits a little bit, maybe even use it to your advantage. Sam Chumley having a look up the inside of Nico Wellman for a split second there. I thought he was going to go for a move, but not quite able to make something happen, as these 4 drivers are sticking as closely to each other as ever. Last lap from Nico Wellman, a 1:44.3. Last lap from Sam Chumley, a 1:44.4. A last lap from Michael Albert, a 1:44.3. Last lap from Ruben van der Hudding, a 1:44.3. Who was actually has the fastest lap currently on track. And they're running very close in the top 4. I think this might come down to pit stop strategy and who is able to nail that the best way possible. A little further behind we have Ben Lowe, sort of seemingly not quite fast enough to catch up to the pack ahead of him after being caught up in some traffic at the start of the race, but also faster than the guys behind. So Lucas van Dam has sort of the same issue, slower than the guy in front, faster than the guy behind. And then we have Shikeka, who's also slowly getting into his own rhythm. Oh, excuse me. Slowly getting into his own rhythm. And then we have a little bit of a battle between Maxime Bespali and Samuel Mendes brewing on the horizon. But speaking of battles, oh, and that is Michael Albert going a little bit deep. That might compromise his exit, and then we'll have to keep an eye on Ruben van der Hudding to see if he's able to capitalize on the mistake from Michael Albert. He's running very closely behind now, and I think Ruben van der Hudding could potentially make a move coming down into T1. We're right on board with the Porsche and keep our eye on Sam Chumley ahead. It doesn't look like he's close enough to make a move on Nico Velman, but up the inside is Ruben van der Hudding. Is he going to be able to make it on the braking side by side into the first corner? Michael Albert will have the inside for the next corner. It goes a little bit deep. Ruben van der Hudding will have to go around the outside of turn 3, and is not quite able to get the move done just yet, but he will have it inside for turn 4, and that is going to be a good position for himself. And a little bit under braking, it looks like almost a little bit of contact between the two drivers as they go through, and then Michael Albert has to let Ruben van der Hudding pass. Ruben van der Hudding moves his way up into P3 after the mistake of Michael Albert. Ooh, a little bit of tap from Michael Albert actually, and punts Ruben van der Hudding a bit, and back into P3 goes Michael Albert. And I think the stewards will have a look at that one, because that is, I believe, a textbook push to pass, and that's cost Ruben van der Hudding dearly, as all the progress he's just made trying to overtake Michael Albert has been undone in the span of a few corners. We'll have to go back and look at the incidents, but I believe there was a little bit of contact in the overtake from Ruben van der Hudding, but that was a bit more blatant what happened there between van der Hudding and Michael Albert. That fighting has allowed Nico Velman and Sam Chumley to check out and go into their own, which I think is exactly what Sam Chumley wanted. Having the pressure of people fighting behind, or for people behind not be able to capitalize on any mistakes he makes, and they seem to be a bit too far behind to that happen now. Ben Lowe's as well catching this scrap pack of cars, as I think Ruben van der Hudding is going to have to try to do the same stuff again, but this time Michael Albert is ready up the inside, and van der Hudding will have to go the long way around the outside into turn 1. Who is going to be the best on the brakes? We'll see coming up shortly, and Ruben van der Hudding gets the car turned in nicely. No contact between the two drivers. Beautifully done by van der Hudding. All he has to do now is just defend from Michael Albert behind, but that, at the moment, a beautiful position change up to P3, and he has a couple of corners to navigate, which are very tricky, and there's still overtaking opportunities, but if he gets those done, he will be. And there's a huge send from Michael Albert. Van der Hudding has to back out of the corner to make sure there's no contact, gets onto the curb, gets a bit sideways. A great action between these two drivers, and very daring driving from Michael Albert, who's gone a little bit deep again, and van der Hudding will probably have the inside for the next corner. We'll see who gets ahead into turn 5, or turn 6, sorry, and van der Hudding will have the inside. Michael Albert will stay ahead just for now, and these two drivers fighting and fighting and fighting. The only thing it's doing is costing him a chance at having that P1 position, but I'm sure they're loving it in there, and I also would take a guess that van der Hudding is not too pleased with the driving from Albert, as that was a huge dive that he had to turn out of, but I respect to Albert for making it stick, and these two drivers getting through yet again without any major issues. Reading into the commentary chat is Daniel Hirsch, I can't remember, all the way from America. It's nice to see you again. It has been a while. A little bit of contact on the corner exit between van der Hudding and Michael Albert, and these two drivers just cannot seem to get enough of each other. At some point we had to suggest them to get a room, or they would get done for a public display of affection, but at the moment it seems like there's a little bit more of a battle brewing up in P1. Nice to see familiar faces, by the way, in the commentary chat. It's always great to have you guys come back. Sam Chumley continuing his charge on Nico Veltman, and this time 5 seconds ahead of Michael Albert behind, who is actually being caught up by Ben Lowes as well, while these three are fighting. So the top two have sort of checked out now, and the fight for the final podium position is getting hotter than ever, with Ben Lowes getting into the mix as well. Maxim Bespalji has just made a move on Kennedy Chikika. I wonder what happened there between these two drivers. It looked like Chikika ran a bit wide on the corner exit. We'll see through a replay, and it does look like it went a bit wide, went a bit sideways, caught the car, and then through goes Maxime Bespalji. Back to the race now, and it is Sam Chumley back, still on the heels of Nico Veltman. I wonder if the pit stops are going to play a major factor in if Sam decides to do an undercut first, or if Nico Veltman will do an undercut. I know they are currently both sitting in the same voice chat. I wonder if they're strategizing with each other, or if they're sort of keeping to themselves what they're gonna do. It might be the case of do what the guy ahead of you doesn't do. So if Nico Veltman dives into pit lane, Sam Chumley keeps going. If Nico Veltman doesn't dive into pit lane, Sam Chumley will pit. However, it might be a bit early to pit already. Well, saying that, and Michael Albert has gone into the pit lane. That has unlocked Ruben van der Hudding up to provisional P3 and Ben Lowes to provisional P4 for these guys to run in free air. So there's a bit of an early pit stop from Michael Albert. I think a bit of an undercut potentially. But the pit window will open around 5 minutes. And it will be interesting to see when the drivers decide to go for the pit stop. Apologies for the quality there. I accidentally dropped my lid to my water bottle on the ground, so I had to quickly pick that up. I'm just going to quickly quench my thirst, or doesn't matter. Drink water, stay hydrated. Let me know what you guys are sipping on or eating on today while watching this stream. Usually when I watch other people broadcast, I like to have some tea, as I think it's quite soothing at night. I have these sort of, I've recently discovered it's been Rue Boys, or Robaals, or however you pronounce it, I don't know. I think it's a South African plant. That is a stop-go 30 for Michael Albert, who has been done for speeding in the pit lane. That is a very unfortunate way to end his podium chances. For Michael Alberts. He will have to serve that in the next 3 laps or so. And Sam Chumley is right on the heels of Nico Veltman as they navigate through the final corners. And I believe soon one of these two will dive into the pit lane. When, I'm not sure, but it's going to be soon. And I think Sam Chumley might go in for an undercut this lap around. Or Nico Veltman might try and get an undercut on himself, I guess. At the moment to... Wait, sorry, I just got distracted to see where they would come out, and I was looking at Michael Albert on track. So if they come out, they will have free running time or free air, so to say, when they come out on track again. So that is something to consider for these drivers. But anyways, before I started waffling about whatever, I said Sam Chumley might come in to do an undercut this lap around. If not, Nico Veltman could potentially think about doing pit stops. It's definitely reaching that point now where a pit stop could make a breaker for the race. It currently seems like Sam Chumley has a bit more pace than Nico Veltman, but is just not able to make that car slippery enough in the slipstream, or Nico Veltman is able to make that car a bit of a tank to get around. And they're both driving beautifully, so it'll be interesting to see what happens after the pit stops. A little bit sideways there on the corner exit from Nico Veltman. It looks like he is driving the tires off of his car, and Sam Chumley is not waiting around to see what happens in front of him. He is ready to make an overtake. Are any of them going to take a pit stop this lap around? It might still be a little bit early for them to do it, a couple laps early, but it could be a potential strategic move. And what did I say at the beginning of last lap? I think Sam Chumley might come into the pit lane for a undercut maneuver, and that is exactly what Sam Chumley has done. And that is going to be very interesting in the race. So Nico Velman now has no pressure from behind of Sam Chumley, but he has the pressure to perform his absolute best when it comes to his next lap, because this in-lap for Nico Velman will be crucial, and I'm sure Nico Velman will come into the pit lane this lap to try and cover off Sam Chumley. Lucas Van Dam also heading into the pit lane, and so is Samuel Mendes and Kennedy Chikika, so it's starting to be a pit stop time for everyone on track at the moment. So top 3, Nico Velman, Ruben van der Hooding, Ben Lowe's in before the pit stop cycle has ended, but the pit stop cycle is about to hot up even further. I'm surprised that Van der Hooding or Ben Lowe's didn't go into the pits. I was expecting one of them to do so at least. And there is a yellow flag, and that is Michael Albert at the end of turn 1, who has returned to the pit lane, as he seems like he's got another stop and go 30, and I think that will probably be him retiring from this race, he's not been able to, either he hasn't served it or he's done a drive-through, or I don't know what's happening, but he's definitely having a lot of issues with that pit lane, and that is a very unfortunate way to end your race, as he was looking to be on for a podium charge, and that would have been interesting to see coming out between himself and Ruben van der Hooding, who were fighting really hard from the first half of this race. Alright, Sam Chumley has been out on track. He is doing his outlap, and it is a time for Nico Velman to come into the pit lane. Very sharp pit lane entrance from Nico Velman, bouncing around from the rear, almost hits it into the wall. It's a very interesting entrance. There's a drive-through penalty for Samuel Mendes and a stop-go 30 for Kennedy Chikika. So the pit lane catching some drivers out at the moment. So that is 2 drivers that have been caught out by the pit lane. These 2 drivers will have to come in and serve their penalties. Ben Lowe's is a race leader here today in round 5 Barcelona of season 16 for 2S ACC. He's running the M415 livery car. Let's go a little bit get closer and see the intricate details, or El Gato car, so to say, of Ben Lowe's, and it's a nice livery for sure. Saddlebelt, I'm not quite sure what Saddlebelt. Oh wait, I believe that is his racing harness. I went to see Ben Lowe's a couple of weeks ago, and he's definitely his car has got some interesting modifications, which I look forward to seeing on track in a couple of weeks' time. It'll be a fun time out, going from the sim to real life. But anyways, and that's the community of 2S as well. We've met each other as a community, and we've grown to become lifelong friends in the process with a lot of people here. And if you're interested in the community feeling, where it's sort of community first, racing second, then 2S is definitely the place for you. If you want to come join us in the group chat, or not group chat I say, come join us on the Discord, link in the description, hop into voice chat, just introduce yourself, and people are very open and friendly here, and oftentimes we'll do many other things apart from sim racing. We just sort of bound together by sim racing, or sort of met through sim racing, bound together by other random shenanigans, so to say. And Ben Lowe's is coming in to make his pit stop, but is he able to do so and still be the leader of across the start finish line to have led a single race lap? It looks like he will be able to do that before the next drivers come out of the pit lane. Crucially, while that was happening with Ben Lowe's, I am so sorry I missed this. Too busy waffling around. Nico Velman came out right ahead of Sam Chumley, so the undercut did not work for Sam Chumley, and these 2 drivers are still fighting tooth and nail. I wish I would have caught that on stream. I do apologize. That would have been a very interesting pit exit for these 2 drivers. But anyways, the positions haven't changed. Nico Velman still ahead, but it looks like Sam Chumley is pushing even harder now behind Nico Velman, and these 2 drivers are going to be fighting all the way until the end of the race now, with no pit stops to meddle with their charge. You can see Ruben van der Hooding in the background. He was running quite close to Ben Lowe's, so it'll be interesting to see where they come out of the pit lane, as Ben Lowe's is still in the pit box at the moment, as these 2 drivers do end up passing pit, although Ben Lowe's is left the pit box, and that is Ruben van der Hooding coming down the main straight. Where will Ben Lowe's come out in relation to Ruben van der Hooding? It looks like he's actually come out ahead, so maybe van der Hooding had a poor outlap, or have something happen in the pit lane, but it is Ben Lowe's promoted up into provisional P3 currently, and that is a good overtake done under the pit stops for Ben Lowe's. Craig Quincy qualified last in this race and is now currently leading the race of 13 laps. With of course, he's not done a pit stop, but he is a race leader here at 2S, and not too many people can say that. Myself, having raced for many seasons, I don't think I've ever led a race. Oh, actually, that's not right. I had a pole position twice, and I've led a race for a couple of laps, and I've never been able to convert those pole positions into race wins. But anyways, there's a reason I'm in the commentary booth and not on the racetrack, and I think a skill issue is one of the reasons. Although I would love to get back into racing, I feel like I've learned a lot in this off-season, so to say, about racing theory, and I look forward to be able to apply my knowledge to the racetrack. Sam Chumley losing a little bit of time to Nico Veltman, and they are starting to navigate through traffic now, so that is Kennedy Chikeka in front of them. I believe the blue flag rules are just stay in your line or let everyone pass, as Kennedy Chikeka does. Beautifully done. And these two drivers can continue to fight with any hindrance from Kennedy Chikeka. Sam Chumley a little bit further behind in his last lap, matching close to his best lap time. But Nico Veltman with absolute flyer the last lap, 141.1. Sam Chumley 144.4. And the best lap from Nico Veltman is still just a few hundred slower than Ruben van der Hooding's best lap. So Van der Hooding still maintains the fastest lap of the race currently. We don't get any points for fastest lap, but you get honor, I guess. And I'm sure Van der Hooding would be pleased with that if he is able to maintain it. We'll keep an eye out and see if anyone is able to produce fast lap times. I think it should be, as the fuel load has come down and the tires are brand new yet again. So it should, in theory, be more of a quali pet spec for the drivers now compared to a race spec. And that is a drive-through for Craig Quincy, unfortunately. It looks like that is for track limits. I don't believe you get a drive-through for speed in the pit lane. I believe you get an instant stop-go 30, which Kennedy Chikeka has served, and Michael Albert tried to serve, but I believe he got a second one, trying to serve his first one, which has happened to me before, and I think it's the most gut-wrenching feeling in the world. You go in, I actually believe it happened to Barcelona as well, now that I've tried to think about it. You go in, you serve your stop go 30, you know your race is pretty much over, and then you get a second one, and it's just like, oh, what's the point then? Yeah, like, because at that point you've lost 2, if not 3 laps already. So there is no way you're making it back in a 30-minute race. 30 minutes remaining in the race. Ruben van der Hooding currently, I've been keeping an eye on his lap times, a 1:43.9 as his current best lap. But Sam Chumley has taken the fastest lap of the race so far with 1:43.8. And Ben Lowes, crucially, is running 1:44 still, so it looks like Ruben van der Hooding is closing in on Ben Lowes. He's got 17 minutes to do so, and he's also to make an overtake, and he is within a second of Ben Lowes now. So Ben seemingly has a little bit less pace than Ruben van der Hooding at the moment, but he does have track advantage, and that is going to be a huge factor in this battle for the final podium position. And this will be an interesting fight between two very different cars, very different drivers, and I would say honestly a bit more pace from Ruben van der Hooding currently compared to Ben Lowes, as opposed to what we've seen from Sam Chumley and Nico Veltman, which seems to be matching each other in pace, with Sam Chumley maybe being a split tenth ahead compared to Feldman, but is not really obviously quicker. But it's seen Van der Hooding since the pit stops has been gaining and gaining and gaining on Ben Lowes, and it is almost time to see these two drivers battle it out. But before that, we'll jump back to see how Sam Chumley and Nico Veltman are doing, and they are doing fine and dandy just as ever. P1, P2 as they've been doing for the whole race. Sam Chumley pole position, lost it in the first turn with Nico Veltman doing a beautiful overtake around the outside. A little bit of contact was had between the two drivers, but I believe it was fair rubbing and racing between these two drivers. And ever since, they've been glued together. for the whole track. It's almost like Nico Velman has been thrown out a tow hook with a towing rope, and Sam Chumley's attached it to the front of his car. That is how close these two have been running the whole race around. It seems like the gap between them basically never really changing. So it's been a joy to watch two drivers enjoying each other's company on track. But I can understand if the frustrations of Sam Chumley are starting to build up slightly, as he spent the last half an hour looking at the rear of that Porsche. Not that it's a bad rear to look at. It's quite as far as rears go on cars. It's a very beautiful rear. Anyways, but I can also understand if Nico Velman is starting to feel the pressure of Sam Chumley a little bit. But I know these two drivers, they don't really crack under pressure. They don't really crack under frustration. So it'll be interesting to see how Sam Chumley tries to navigate his way around Nico Velman, or if he's even able to do it. Speaking of bundas, Ruben van den Hooydonk is now up the rear of Ben Lowe's BMW. And I can sense, nice. I can sense that he is sensing. Oh, there's too much sensing going on. Ruben van der Hooydonk probably feels like he is able to take that P3 position and is putting on a charge at the moment. He made a good overtake on Michael Albert 10 laps ago or so, before the pit stops, and did so through the full first sector. Is he able to do the same on Ben Lowe's? Will he have the same overtaking prowess as he did against Albert, or will it be a completely different story with the defensive driving from Ben Lowe's? It seems like Sam Chumley has made a little bit of a mistake somewhere, as he's losing a little bit of time to Nico Velman, but it's nothing majorly costly, as they're still within a second of each other. .13 minutes of the race remaining. We have Nico Velman in P1, followed by Sam Chumley in P2, then Ben Lowe's in P3, and that is currently the top 3 positions and the podiums for this race. But Ruben van der Hooydonk is looking to upset that for Ben Lowe's, as he was running at the start of the race very close to Sam Chumley and Nico Velman, and then got caught up in a battle between himself and Michael Albert, and it looks like he is now getting caught up into a battle again with Ben Lowe's, but it's not seemingly as close this time around as well. Actually, I say that, and Ben Lowe's a little bit skeptical through this section. Van der Hooydonk, it looks like he's almost pushing him through the corners. We'll have to ride on board to see how Ben Lowe's navigates this final few corners, as the exit of these corners are crucial to maintaining your position as they lead onto a strong finish straight that's quite long. Both of them getting a great exit. Looks like Ben actually got an even better exit compared to Van der Hooydonk, and that looks like enough of a distance between the two cars to keep Ruben van der Hooydonk behind. And actually, it looks like that BMW has a huge amount of pace down the straight. I can understand why Van der Hooydonk is struggling to overtake, as the BMW is just seemingly quicker down the straight. I wonder if Lowe's is running a bit of a lower rear wing setup compared to Van der Hooydonk. So Van der Hooydonk has a huge task ahead of him. If he can't do it into turn 1, he'll have to do it into some of the corners, and that is very tricky to do here at the circuit of de Barcelona in Catalonia. But that does change things a little bit. A bit of a snap from Ben on the exit there, as Ruben van der Hooydonk looking to compromise, make a scratch that. My brain just, I speak faster than I thought. Ben Lowe's coming into turn 6 now, still ahead of Ruben van der Hooydonk. Van der Hooydonk staying close to the rear of that BMW, but it doesn't seem like he is able to make an overtake just yet. We'll keep an eye on that, as we'll go back to see what Sam Chumley and Nico Velman are up to. Sam Chumley losing a little bit of time to Nico Velman ahead, as he seems like the last lap from Sam Chumley, a 1:44.3. Last lap from Nico Velman is the best lap of Nico Velman from the race, at 1:43.8. So there's a 5/10 difference. Saying that though, Ruben van der Hooydonk has regained his fastest lap point. Well, not point, but fastest lap honor, I guess, with a 1:43.5 while chasing down Ben Lowe's. And let's see how the chase is going. It looks like Ben Lowe's got a little bit of a poorer exit this time around, but we know the straight line speed, as we found out last time, was great on the BMW, and Van der Hooding just not able to make any moves or any innings on Ben Lowe's in front, and he's going to have to stay behind yet again. I can understand. This is a frustrating scenario for Ruben van der Hooding. Feels he probably is faster. I mean, on paper he is fast. His best lap is faster than Ben Lowe's by 0.6, and he made that best lap not so long ago. But it is going to be difficult for him to get past Ben Lowe's, especially with that speed difference down the start-finish straight, with all things considered. Let's have a look at the rest of the field currently, and that is Lucas van Dam in his Ferrari, running around in P5. It's currently lapping faster than the guys behind, but slower than the guys ahead, so that's almost like a practice session, endurance drive, but that is sometimes very nice and relaxing. You just get into your zone, and then suddenly, boop, your race is done, and you learn a lot from your experience. We'll jump to Maxime Bespalli in the McLaren, running in P6. He had a poor qualifying, but has made his way all the way up into P6, and is also running with quite a lot of time, in 20 seconds ahead of the guy in front, and around also 20 seconds. He is quite far away from both cars he is supposed to be next to on track. Then we have Samuel Mendes in P7, who is also very far away from the guy behind him and very far away from the guy in front, 40 seconds away from Bespalli in front. So basically anyone outside of the top 4 are running practice laps at the moment, are all quite far away from each other on track. Saying that though, Kennedy Chikeka is gaining on Craig Quincy ahead of him, so that could be interesting to see fold out by the end of the race. But he has 8 minutes to do it, and he has 8 minutes or 8 seconds to catch up on Quincy. So, or I say that he's now has 6 seconds to catch up on Quincy. So it looks like he's doing it rapidly enough to be able to catch up by the time the race is finished. But is he able to make an overtake? That is another question. Ruben van der Hooding still putting a charge on to Ben Lowe's. These two drivers have been fighting tooth and nail since the pit stops, the same way as Nico Wellman and Sam Chumley have. And there is just no differences happening on track. It seems it is very difficult to overtake today, and the pace difference or pace advantage that Van der Hooding had seems to be not enough to make an overtake. I thought it would be a case of having an overtake on the cards for Van der Hooding, but it almost as if he gets really close to Ben, and then with the straight line speed of Ben Lowe's, he is not able to make an overtake compared to his own. But Sam Chumley very close to Nico Wellman now. Is this going to be a move for P1 on track before the race is over? Nico Wellman going very defensive on the inside. Sam Chumley is going to have to go around the outside. Nico Wellman defending beautifully into the first corner. Sam Chumley getting a bit of an up and under move on Nico Wellman. Nico Wellman will have to go wide into the next corner. Will Sam Chumley be able to capitalize? And there's Nico Wellman going wide. There's Sam Chumley right behind, but he's not close enough to make a move, and these two drivers will have to wait a little bit longer to fight. Ruben van der Hooding doing the same this time around, getting very close to Ben Lowe's in front of him, but is not quite able to make a move. He's going to make a move into turn 4. No, he's not, as he has to back out and wait a little bit longer. Saying that though, it's riding right up the rear of Ben Lowe's, and these two battles looked like for a split second they were running closer than they have been the last couple of laps, and it just shows that it's not over yet. It's not over until the fat lady sings, and these guys out here proving it. Even though I thought it was sort of setting into a rhythm of no overtakes, suddenly boom, we have 2 opportunities happening in 1 lap. 6 minutes to go, around 3-4 laps maybe left of the race. It's going to be very interesting. Who is going to come out? What is the top 3 going to be? If you guys would let me know who do you think the top 3 will be by the end of this race? Will it be, as it currently stands, Nico Velman, Sam Chumley, and Ben Lowe's, as well as Ruben van der Hooding going up the inside into the chicane? That's going to push Ben Lowe's onto a very poor run, and that Ruben van der Hooding gets a nice run up the inside of Ben Lowe's. They're going to go side by side on the corner exit there, but Ben Lowe's has the straight line speed. Ruben van der Hooding has to tuck back into the slipstream, and these two drivers, it looked like for a second Van der Hooding had pushed Ben Lowe's completely off the track and was able to make a position, but Ben Lowe's got a great exit compared to Van der Hooding, and these two drivers still in the same positions as before, but that was almost looked like an overtake on the cards for Van der Hooding. And just as I was saying, do you think the top 3 will stay the same? Ruben out here trying to prove me wrong. Is it going to be Nico Velman, Sam Chumley, or Ben Lowe's, or is it going to be Sam Chumley, Nico Velman, and Ruben van der Hooding, or any other iterations of those 3 options? Van der Hooding going side by side with Ben Lowe's, and it seems like the pace is catching up to Ben Lowe's as these two are getting more and more feisty at the moment. Speaking of feisty, the Ferrari is getting very close to his Porsche ahead of him as well. And these two could also be having an overtake on the cards coming up soon. It seems like the Porsches have, well, Ruben van der Hooding is, the people chasing have turned it up a notch in the last couple of laps. We'll keep an eye on the Van der Hooding and Ben Lowe's battle, as well as we'll currently ride with these two drivers. Looks like Sam Chumley is trying to take a different line, and that's an indication that there might be a better exit on the cards for Sam Chumley. And it doesn't seem like it's a better one, but it's definitely running close enough, and I don't think it's close enough to make a move down into turn 1. It seems like Sam Chumley actually losing speed to Nico Velman on the straight as well. So that Ferrari is gaining a little bit, but it's definitely not enough to gain to make an overtake. Nico Velman looks like he ran a little bit deep there into that corner, but he's able to regain his car under braking and get ready to set the car up for turn 4. Sam Chumley running out a little bit wide. It gets a huge snap of oversteer. That's going to cost him. It's definitely taking his lap time away. That might also be a time warning, and if he keeps doing that, he will potentially get a drive-through penalty by the end of the race. It just shows a little bit of a snap on the car, and he is out here losing time behind Nico Velman. While that's happening, Ruben van der Hooding has also lost time to Ben Lowe's. So both of the attackers now going a little bit defensive. I think just recharging, as we say in F1, recharging the batteries, but there obviously is no hybrid pack in these cars. So they are probably just cooling down the tires just a bit if they've overheated slightly, in the refocusing to try and make one last charge before the race is over. Nico Velman, he will be praying to see that checker flag quicker than he's ever seen it before, as I can imagine the pressure behind him is really mounting up. Also, another thing, whoever wins out of this concoction of Nico Velman and Sam Chumley is going to be leading the championship into the final round. So it is crucial points to be collected for both drivers here today, and it could lead to an all-lap shootout, or to a final race shootout for the championship win between these two drivers. Ben Lowe's being stalked by Ruben van der Hooding, and Van der Hooding running ever so closely to Ben Lowe's behind. You just see the speed difference. That Porsche, even in the slipstream, slowly, but seems like it's sticking with him actually at this point around. Having a look on the inside, going to the outside, tries to sell him the dummy. Is he able to make it stick around the outside? Ben Lowe's good on the brakes, but Van der Hooding on the inside, almost having the move there, but has to back out and let Ben Lowe's stay ahead for yet another lap. I believe we might get one more lap of racing. It's going to be tight, but I think after this one, there's going to be this lap and then one more lap by looking at where the leaders are on the track currently. But yeah, the points scored for P1 is 66 and the points scored for P2 is 60. Sam Chumley is currently 6 points ahead of Nico Velman. So if it stays like this, they are going to be on equal points coming into the final race of the season. Red Bull against Porsche, a German manufacturer, going into the final race matched equally on points. Where have we seen that before? This time around, there will be no meddling of the race format. It's just going to be pure 45 minutes of racing, and the stewards will be... There'll be no safety cars, so to say. Controversial safety car calls, at least. So, the final showdown, if it stays this way, will happen next week on Monday at this time around at the Nordschleife. First time 2S got to Nordschleife, and I can tell you what, the two drivers we see on screen right now, they've both put in immense hours on the Nordschleife, so it'll be very, very exciting to see how those two are able to battle out together. Final lap of the race. Is Ruben van der Hooding able to get that P3 position, or will Ben Lowes maintain it for now? It looks like van der Hooding is still a bit too far behind to make anything happen, but another thing has been spotting. Kennedy Chikika, is he able to get that P8 position before the race is over on Craig Quincy? He's looking for the inside, trying to sell the dummy. Goes up the inside, a little bit late on the brakes from Quincy there, but good, respectful racing between these two drivers. Chikika will have the inside for the next corner. Craig gives him the space, and that is Chikika running through up into P8 with the overtake done in the final lap of the race. Jumping back to those P3 positions, and I think it seems that the hope for Sam Chumley of winning this race is slowly fading away, as Nico Waldman is actually quite a decent margin ahead of Sam Chumley, all things considered. Come the end of this lap, it will be the final lap, so it's going to be, I believe, unless something major happens, Nico Waldman will probably win this race. The overtaking opportunities are over. There is not really any opportunities into the final chicane unless a huge mistake from Nico Waldman occurs and they have a drag race to the start-finish line, but I don't think that's going to happen for Nico Waldman. He's got a couple corners to navigate. Sam Chumley is pushing him through with all his might, and through the final corner exit they go. It's not enough for Sam Chumley to get ahead. Nico Waldman wins here today at Circuit of de Barcelona, followed very closely by Sam Chumley. Then we have Ben Lowes and Ruben van der Hooding in P3 and P4 respectively, and that is Ben Lowes going home to take P3, to rounding out the podium positions, and Ruben van der Hooding sending it into the wall, probably in frustration in P4. And that is a very exciting top 4 finish here today. Beautiful racing from all 4 drivers, and great to see Ben Lowes having success on the podium yet again. Lucas van Dam comes across the line in P5. Kennedy Chikirka and Craig Quincy have already crossed the line, so we are just waiting for Maxime Bespalye and Samuel Mendes to cross the line, as we'll go to Bespalye now, rounding the last few corners to get that P6 position, and Sam Mendes the P7 position. What a race it was today. Sam Chumley and Nico Wellman glued together like a pair of I don't know what pair of stuff. I don't know, a pair of string, a pair of shoes, a pair of I don't even know, concrete. Anyways, glued together they were. Then we have Ben Lowes in P3 and Ruben van der Hooding P4s. Van Dam P5, Bespalye P6, Samuel Mendes P7, Kenny Chikeka P8, Craig Quincy P9, and finally Michael Albert P10. And that was it today for 2S with Samuel Mendes crossing the line. Thank you everyone who has been watching. Thank you for keeping me company in the stream. I hope you enjoyed. This time next week, the final shootout for the championship with 2 leading drivers, of Sam Chumley and Nico Wellman, tied on points, will be happening at the Nordschleife. So that's going to be very interesting. Tune in next Monday at the same time to see that. If you're interested in joining the Discord, click the link in the description below. And if you are interested in joining any of the races, also have a look on SimGrid. All you have to search 2S space community. You'll find our community on the SimGrid. And hopefully, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been me, myself, and I. I'm going to sign out, and goodbye.